All right, and we are back. We have the Hot and Cold Classic out in Pratt, Kansas. This was run by Smitty and the Heisernuts. We have Daniel out of Garden City, current rating 750. He is currently playing in the MA3 division for this tournament. So we're starting off here on hole 18, 391 foot par 3, and I have somebody special joining me today on the commentary.
Hey, my name is Daniel.
So I have Daniel joining me here. He was fortunate enough playing MA3. He got to play with his good friend Hudson out of Wichita. So they had a pretty good time. They always have a good time when they play together. But here, hole 18 again, 391 foot par 3. It's more of a backhand hole, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the backhand, I mean, you're looking for something to go straight past the trees that were right there in front of the box and then start hooking up to the left side. Daniel still working on that backhand, so he had to go with something flippy. I think you threw your Star Gorgon, is that right? Yeah. So that Star Gorgon he had gotten last year at Junior Worlds in Tulsa. So if he can throw it flat and in the headwind, it's going to go to the left. If he puts some ante on it, he can get it to go farther left. But it was a pretty windy day this day, wasn't it, Daniel?
Yeah.
So moving on to after hole 18, he was able to get a par to start. Moving on to hole 1, 571 foot par 4. Daniel had a really good drive off the tee. Do you remember what you threw, Daniel?
My nuke.
Your nuke, is that your Z-Lite nuke?
Yes.
Yeah, so he threw a Z-Lite nuke on his second. We went with a little bit something more stable. I think that was his Champion Metal Flake Destroyer, a little heavier one. So he didn't get as much distance, but at least was in the fairway. For his approach, I think you were throwing your zone. Was that your Z zone?
I threw my crystal zone, and
Yeah,
I got it too high, and I went OB.
Yeah, so he got a little high, especially in that headwind. It just picked it up and took it straight OB. So out of here, he was able to at least say bogey, although that's not ideal on a par 4. It didn't get worse than a double bogey, I should say. So moving on to hole 2, 412 foot par 3. You can't see the basket. You got to throw over this hill. Once you've gotten over the hill, you'll be able to see the basket in between a row of trees. Do you remember what you threw there, Daniel?
Yeah, I threw my nuke, and then right here I threw my tank, but it flipped over completely.
Yeah, so it flipped on him. And again, that was going into a headwind. So I was thinking, I told Daniel that I thought it was best to throw his tank something to go straight, but because it is a soft tank, not me thinking, it ended up flipping on him. He did throw it like he should have flat, but because of that headwind blowing pretty good, grabbed it and started to turn it to the left there. So right here, he's approaching at this point to get under the basket or throw it in for par. So if he doesn't throw it in, gets it at least under, he's going to save a bogey. Do you remember what you're throwing here, bud?
My, what do you call it? My pink putter, Omega.
Oh yeah, this is a soft Omega.
Yeah, I used to putt with it, but then I'm with a heavier Omega.
So Daniel's now putting with some, I think, ET Big Bead Omega putters. Something a little bit more heavier. Now that he can get a little bit more spin on his disc, he needs something heavier because those soft Omegas tend to flip on him when he putts them. So he now uses those soft Omegas as approach disc, anything in between 100 feet or so, maybe even 125. So moving on to hole 3, 330 foot par 3, kind of going downhill. Pretty self-explanatory hole, just straight down the hill and right to the basket. Daniel there off the tee, what were you throwing?
My nuke again.
Nuke again. Is that a disc that you rely on quite a bit off the tee?
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel relies on that. With it being a Z-Lite, if he can get some power behind it, he can get a bit of turn, and it's going to go pretty far for him if he gets a good pull. So here finishing up hole 3, he was able to squeak out of there with a par. Moving on to hole 4, 509 foot par 4. So this one, it had that hanging branch right there on your right, didn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, so it kind of got me messed up. So I hyzered it too much, and it hit I hyzered it, went past the hanging tree, which I like, and then I like hit the grass and it cut rolled.
Yeah, cut rolled a little bit. He didn't have a bad spot. I think it was a good throw. Although he did hyzer it off the tee, he got around the branch and didn't really bring that into play. So he didn't end up going shorter off the tee than he needed to. Here, for his second, unfortunately, he hyzered out his Z-Lite nuke again, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So he just got the angle and a little wrong, threw it nose up with hyzer. So unfortunately, it went into the trees. So now he's kind of scrambling out of there. So out of the trees, was that the zone or what was that?
The crystal zone again.
Yeah. So that was his crystal zone. So at this point, he from here has to throw it in to save par, or at least just pitch up to save bogey and not let it get any more out of hand. So that's what it looks like he decided to do, just pitch up, and he just had to tap in for bogey here.
Which this course is really hard.
Yeah, it's a bit long, isn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, there's some holes where my dad could get bogeys, double bogeys.
Yeah. Yep. So moving to hole 5, 336 foot par 3. This one, it for a backhand to be a turnover shot because you want to get in front of where Daniel's currently stuck at. For a forehand, it would be a flick to the left and have it hyzer out to the right. So Daniel, he had a good throw off the tee. It just unfortunately was just a little bit early. So he unfortunately had to go in and had to pitch out from the trees. He went with a roller. He made that decision. I think it was the good decision because if he threw it normal, just a little flick or even backhand, he probably would have hit those trees. And instead of a bogey there, it probably could have turned into a double, right, Daniel?
Yes.
Maybe even a triple. So moving on to hole 6, 401 foot par 3. So this one's, for a par 3, it's gettable if you have the arm. Daniel did a good job in cutting the hole in half right off the tee. Do you remember what you threw off the tee?
I think it was my Z-Lite nuke.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a common story for today, especially with what the wind was doing. He relied on the nuke quite a bit. So for his approach here, he actually threw a really good throw. He went with his Metal Flake T-Bird, I think,
yes.
right? Yeah, so he had a really good flat and straight throw, and the T-Bird did what it does, right? Goes straight and then fades out right at the end. Got him just a little past the basket, but within about 5 feet, and he was able to tap that in for par. Hole 7, 277, par 3. This is a really cool hole because you have to throw into the gap, kind of go over this little dry creek area to get to the basket, kind of tucked away behind a bush or a tree. Do you remember what you threw off the tee there, Daniel?
Yes, my Mako.
Yeah, Mako. Your Mako 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a new disc Daniel's been throwing a bit. He was able to get that.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that disc at?
Red River. Me and my dad, in Red River, there's a glow around, so my dad let me play with him.
Yeah. So Daniel was able to get that as like your player pack entry fee at the Glow Round up in Red River back in June. So that's a disc that he actually has been throwing a little bit when we've been going out to practice in Garden City at our course. It's a good disc for him because it's something in between his driver and his putter that he can throw farther than his putter, but not as far as his driver. So if we need to just get something in between, that's something he relies on too, depending on the distance. And it flies pretty straight to a little bit understable, depending on the angle he throws, but he throws that pretty good. So back on hole 7, he did end up ending with a bogey. So we moved on to hole 8, 172, par 3. This again kind of works for forehand, doesn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, but I think it was a headwind. I threw it, and the wind just picked it up.
Yeah, so
And
yeah, it was.
It clipped the branch.
Yeah, it was a headwind, clipped the branch, but fortunately for him, he did land somewhat in the fairway, just kind of tucked to the left there of that tree. It looked like he was almost trying to throw it in. Were you trying to throw it in from there to get a birdie? He gave it a good bid because it seemed like it crossed. I think was it to the right of the basket, but he was still able to save par there. So moving on to hole 9, 417 foot par 3. What are you throwing here, Daniel?
My Z-Lite nuke.
Z-Lite nuke again. So this, again, you can see the wind. You can see those trees blowing pretty good. So Daniel off the tee, I think he threw it well. He just, again, got it a little bit nose up. So the wind picked it, and because of the stability, took it to the right. So he ended up landing right where you saw him kind of throwing a roller out of those trees.
Trees?
Yeah.
So, I threw my crystal zone right here?
Yeah, he threw his crystal zone here. That was for his 3, so at this point he needs to make this putt. I think it was about a 10 10-footer, maybe about 15-footer to save his bogey. So we'll see if he's able to make this. Yep, right, basically down the middle, right to the basket. So that was a great putt to not let that get out of hand. So this hole is pretty neat. It's pretty narrow gap, hole 10, 137, par 3. So really you just have to be able to throw something straight, right, Daniel?
Yeah, I threw my Mako, and I just landed right into the trees.
Yeah, he got a little bit nose up, kind of grip locked it a little bit, so it landed right in the trees. Fortunately for him, he was able to step out and then still be able to flick it up there. So he was able to get, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 7 feet here. This is to save his par. And another good putt there to save par.
Yeah, for me, for the layup, I threw my Omega putter, soft.
Your soft Omega putter, right? Yeah. So that's something, again, that he uses anywhere between 100 and in feet, depending on the wind. So moving on to hole 11, 205-foot par 3. This has a bit of a fairway. It's a little bit wider than what we just saw on hole 11. This is another great hole. So you have a fairway here with trees on the left and the right, and then it gets narrower and narrower as you get closer to the basket with trees kind of guarding it. So Daniel off the tee, do you remember what you threw?
My Mako 3, and then...
Was it the Mako? It was either the Mako or his Crave. His Crave, your Crave. He has a Glow MVP Crave that he throws. It's one of his more straighter flying discs. He uses that quite a bit in the woods, right, when we played in the woods. He's able to put some ante on that and it'll hold for a while and then kind of fight back, go straight, or just fade out right at the end. So it's something he uses a lot in the woods. So on that hole, I think you ended up taking a double bogey, right, I think,
yes,
if I'm not
and
mistaken?
here I'm throwing my Crave.
Okay, so he's throwing this Crave again, because this, again, somewhat of a small fairway, and he's throwing into a gap of trees where the basket then goes over this dry creek. So he had a great throw off the tee there on hole 12, 160-foot par 3, just hit the tree right in the middle.
And it was going to go far, too.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't hit that tree, he goes right down to the opening or right before you hit that creek area, right where he's throwing his approach. He probably would have landed somewhere here off the tee, and he would have had a decent look at a birdie putt from here. So at this point, Daniel's pitching up for his 3. So this, I think, is for his bogey, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll look at the score update here once he putts this one in. Yeah, so bogey. So not bad. Again, that's not an easy hole. I mean, even some of the MA2, MA1, and even pro players sometimes struggle with those holes, right? It's just you got to hit that gap. You got to get lucky sometimes. So
I threw my Crave again, but I did it again going into the trees.
Yeah, so he just let it go with hyzer right off the tee, so it hyzered right into the bushes on hole 13, 169-foot par 3. So on this hole, it seemed like Daniel was playing from bush to bush. He went to the right side, then went to the left side.
Then I went back to the left side.
Back to the left side again, so now he's pitching up again. And this time he had a good throw. Unfortunately for him, again, there's all these trees next to in front of the basket kind of guarding it, so he went back to the left side in between these bushes. So now really he's just pitching up to not let this get more out of hand. This is a lifted basket too, by the way. So this one was a pretty cool hole. I mean, just even though you couldn't really feel the wind right here, Daniel, right? You couldn't really feel it.
No.
You still wanted to be careful when you putt it because I mean it's a lifted basket, so a par putt could potentially turn into a bogey, double bogey, if not worse. So I think Daniel got out of there with it looks like a triple, unfortunately for him. Moving on to hole 14, 246-foot par 3. This one typically, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I played this hole actually plays with a triple mando. Typically there's a branch or a string up top, a marked tree to the left and a marked tree to the right, and you have to go in between all those. But they didn't have that this year, which actually played pretty good, I think. Daniel had a really good throw off the tee. I think, do you remember what you threw?
My Zelak nuke, and then...
Right. Was it the nuke or was it the T-bird?
Oh, it was the T-bird.
Yeah, I think it was his T-bird because it held a little bit straighter, did have that fade at the end. So that putt he just missed was for his par putt. That is one of the things that we actually worked on this week is straddle putting in case he gets kind of in trouble stuck behind something. So it is a work in progress, but it is something he's working on. So out of that hole, he was able to save bogey. So moving on to hole 15, 170-foot par 3. Go ahead,
my Wraith? No, not my Wraith. Raptor?
No, I think that was your Leopard 3.
Yeah, Leopard 3, because My other leopard got signed by Philo.
Philo?
Philo?
Yeah, last year at Worlds he was able to get his red Heiser knot Leopard 3 signed by Philo Breathwaite, so we went ahead and put that up. That way we don't lose that one since it was signed. So off the tee he threw his Leopard. He was trying to throw something a little bit more flippy just so he can kind of go around the curve of the fairway to get down here. Unfortunately, he did throw a little bit too much ante, clipped the bushes to the left, and landed there. So he ended up kind of kicking out, I think, when he clipped the trees back to the right, back to the middle. And you saw one of Daniel's very few backhands, which actually was a very good backhand, landed him down here in this Dry Creek area, which gave him still a good look at par.
But I just got it nose up because I'm putting from uphill.
Yeah.
And I just get it nose up and it hits the top and I roll backwards.
Yeah. So he got it a little bit nose up, hit the top of the band. Didn't roll, fortunately for him, too far back, so he still was able to save his bogey there. Moving on to hole 16, 432-foot par 4. This is pretty much off the tee a placement shot. You want to land to where this other tee box is at. Daniel did a really good job throwing his putter off the tee. It just, unfortunately for him, kind of just trickled out to the right, landed into the bushes, so he had to pitch out right behind the other tee pad.
And then I throw my Leopard.
Yeah.
I threw it too high up with Heiser. It hit the tree, kicked down, and then from that spot, I threw my
putter again, I think, to get to where you're at now.
And then now I'm throwing my Mako.
Yeah, so now he's throwing his Mako just to get up somewhere where he can give himself somewhat of a putt to save. I think it might have been bogey at that point.
Yes.
Or bogey. So this, I think, is the save.
Triple bogey.
No, this is the save bogey, if I'm not mistaken, which he gave it a good bid, just a little bit too far to the right. So now I think at this point, I think he's trying to save. Triple. Yeah, you're correct. So that last putt was to save his double. So now if he makes this is for triple, I believe. Yeah, so that was his triple. So like you can see, Daniel does a lot better job of keeping count of his strokes. Sometimes it's hard for me doing the camera, carrying the bag, and everything else. So I'm glad Daniel's doing a very good job of keeping his score. So last hole of round 1, hole 17, 330-foot par 3. This one again is more of a backhand throw off the tee because you want to go straight and up to the left. The basket's up on a little hill on pavement. So Daniel threw his star Gorgon. We were thinking it was going to flip right because of the wind. Unfortunately for him, it kind of came out a little bit more with Heiser, so it did not want to flip.
Yeah, and then I threw my Rhino way too much Heiser.
Yeah, too much Heiser. He had a decent approach here because these putts within the cement area typically are the distances that he practices at home, and he does a very good job of making a good majority of these. He just sometimes, in the heat of the tournament or, as he's starting to kind of get tired at the end of the round, sometimes he just misses every once in a while. That's normal. Everybody misses those. So he missed his, I think that was his for bogey. This is double.
This is for triple.
Yeah, I think this is to not let it get any worse. Yeah, so that was his triple. So at the end of round 1, Daniel was at plus 21 overall. Overall, we had 4 players playing MA3. Kai Smith was at plus 4, Hudson plus 13, Daniel was plus 21, and there was a person in 4th at plus 22. So stay tuned for round 2. All right, and we're back for round 2 coverage of the Hot and Cold Classic. So same card. There was only, again, 4 MA3 players. All 4 got to play together once again. Daniel, again, got to play with his good friend Hudson out of Wichita. So I was able to get his first throw off the tee on hole 18. He did a really good job of throwing a really good straight Heiser. I can't remember if he said he threw his Draco or not. I know he likes throwing those Dracos. So for round 2 here off the tee, Daniel, I think, is that your Leopard 3?
Yes, that's my Leopard 3. It just flips over way too much.
Yeah, so unfortunately there he threw it with a little bit of ante. I think the wind might have been coming left to right, or
yes.
Left to right. So it pretty much turned it into a roller after it got kind of down the hill. I think the better idea would have been to probably throw that Star Gorgon flat and let that kind of drift to the left on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you throwing here for your approach, Daniel?
My tank.
What happened there?
I put too much Heiser on it.
Yeah, Heiser a little bit early. That probably could have used, a couple of steps to get it there. He has the power to get it there with that disc. We decided, I think, to go with just a standstill, right?
Yeah.
So to start hole 18 for round 2, Daniel starts off with a bogey. Not the ideal start, but it's okay, right?
Yeah.
You didn't let it get any worse than that.
No. But for the break, I was like on the what do you call that? The
Oh
merry-go-round?
yeah, so Daniel was playing on the merry-go-round with Hudson. Well, actually, that might have been before the start of the tournament, wasn't it?
No, yeah.
He had a fight with the merry-go-round, and the merry-go-round won. Daniel ended up with almost. He probably could have gotten a black eye, but he scratched his right eye, and it was pretty funny. Smitty was talking to him and Hudson and kind of giving him a hard time in a fun way, but. It was pretty funny. He just didn't win the fight against the merry-go-round. So moving on to hole 1, 571 foot par 4. I think Daniel threw his
nuke.
Z-Light nuke.
And then I threw it again, but
Yeah.
it just like
just a little bit nose up, right, with the hyzer.
and just goes OB again.
Yeah, it just went OB. So we decided to go with the nuke to get more distance this round. The wind was about the same, if not more. I think it might have picked up even more than the first round. And again, I mean. The temperature was pretty warm, wasn't it, Daniel? You could see him with his hot towel throughout this round just because of the temperature. And I know Daniel's really hot-blooded, so he gets pretty hot when it's very warm outside. So unfortunately there he ends up with a triple bogey, so that takes the score to +4. This is hole 2, 412 foot par 3. I think, was this your nuke OS?
Yes. I think
More steps.
last round, instead of throwing my nuke, I think I threw the nuke OS
Off the tee? I don't think so.
on some of the holes.
Yeah, no, you mean on this round.
Yeah.
On this round, because the wind did end up picking up, he ended up throwing
A heavier weight
his nuke OS. No, it's a Z-Light nuke, but
Yeah,
it's a more stable. So he ended up throwing the nuke OS on the headwind shots a little bit more this round because it had picked up more than that first round. But unfortunately for him here off the tee, he just got a little bit nose up with hyzer, so it clipped the first branch on the tree to the left, and it landed him, maybe 150 feet off the tee.
the wind helped for like the sweat, but it didn't help for like the playing.
Yeah, no, just it made it really humid. And I wouldn't say humid because I don't think it rained the day before. But it just made it for a very warm round. That's the second round. Me as a caddy, I think I was pretty tired. I think halfway through this round just because of the temperature. But overall there, Daniel on the second, he landed to the right. I can't remember if it was his Z-Light nuke or nuke OS again. He pitched up or approached with his Crystal Light zone, right?
Yes.
And then he was putting, I think, for bogey, the one before this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, yes.
Yeah, and it looks like that was for his double right there. So after hole 2, we're at +6. Moving on to hole 3, 330 foot par 3. Again, this one's pretty self-explanatory, right down the hill. Daniel decided to take the backdoor route. Almost clipped that tree. Almost clipped that tree to the left, where that could have gotten in danger. Either hit right dead center and dropped him right behind it, clipped the left and gone farther left. But fortunately for him, he missed it. The unfortunate thing on your approach, what did you throw there?
My Omega soft. I just got it too low because I'm throwing from heel down.
Yeah, so it was kind of an awkward stance for him if he wanted to take 2 steps or a step because he was going down the hill. So he decided to go with a standstill, which I think is fine. You got it a little bit early with hyzer, just too short. So after hole 3, that one he finished out with a bogey. So moving back to hole 4, 509 foot par 4. This is the one with the branch hanging right off the tee to the right.
And I do a lot better on this hole.
Yeah, I think he did a good job both rounds off the tee. It looks like on the camera that he didn't like the throw because I think he did clip the branch a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of get you over to the right, but it wasn't a bad shot where he was all the way in those trees and bushes to his right.
And I finally didn't go in the trees this time.
Yeah, so the second throw was a really good throw. He got a little farther than in the first round, so right now he's approaching. Is that your tank or is that your soft zone?
I think this is
Let's see if we can see it on camera.
Yeah, that's my soft zone.
Yeah, that's his soft zone, and at that point he got a little bit of ante, and it didn't want to fight out of it. So he had a really good throw. It just went a little bit past the basket. So right here, I believe he's putting for his par.
Oh.
Yeah, good bid, right? It was a good bid, just a little high, and not high, but with that branch hanging there, it just clipped it. So right there, he's tapping in for a bogey, and that'll take him to +8 through hole 4.
And this hole, I also did very good on this hole.
Yeah, so he made the adjustment off the first hole, or off the first round, went a little wider to the left. Hole 5, 336, par 3. So he got it to go straight and then hyzered out the end, which it gave him a much better spot to approach to either throw it in for his birdie or just pitch up for his par, which is exactly what he did, just pitch up.
When I threw my Omega putter, I got it too high. No, I put it too much power on it and a little high. So if that tree wasn't there and it clipped it, so to slow it down, I would have gone way past.
He might have gone past it. Yeah, so I think having with his approach, I think their nose up was probably the better idea. Kind of stalled it out. It didn't give him too much speed going into the basket. So moving on to hole 6, 401 par 3. You probably saw his disc, right? I think he threw his Z-Lite nuke, but you kind of saw the wind playing with his disc. It pushed it up, pushed it down, pushed it up, pushed it down. And that's just because, again, that wind really picked up the second round. And I know it made it for an interesting round, not just for the group playing MA3, but all the other divisions this day. What were you throwing for your approach? Was it that T-Bird 2?
T-Bird 3? That's T-Bird. Wait, no. That was my T-Bird.
So,
but I, threw it good. I thought I put enough hyzer on it to swing it out, but I guess
it was just early, huh?
Yeah,
early, and it clipped the tree just to his left. Yeah, I think Daniel's right. If he would have got it not so high and a little bit farther to his left, it probably would have gone around that tree and maybe skipped up towards the basket, giving him a good shot to save par again. So moving on to hole 7, 277-foot par 3. This is, again, one of my favorite holes because you have to throw into the gap kind of where the bridge is at and then kind of pitch over that dry creek or try to get over that.
And this is kind of a backhand hole.
Yeah, I would agree with Daniel. Off the tee, you probably want to do a backhand unless you trust your flick turnover. So off the tee, he went again with the Mako 3. So again, you're seeing Daniel for his approach with one of the few backhands he throws. I think he ended up throwing a couple backhands on this hole because the forehand just wasn't an option. Was that the Mako 3 right there?
Yes, that was the Mako 3.
So that was a really good throw. His both backhands, those back-to-back backhands were really good. Although those trees were in the way, he still got it up there. And then for his second backhand, he got where he's putting from now, and that again was to putt for bogey.
I'm throwing my Crystal Zone again.
Yep, Crystal Zone here on hole 8, 172 par 3. Back in the back, they have a little bit of a gallery. I think that's hole 12 because they were waiting for the group in front of them and for us to throw so they don't get hit.
And
I think that was
my
Daniel's aunt Michelle, and I think that was Mr. Jordan Schaefer right there. He had a really good throw because they were clapping. So this is where he landed off the tee, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you putting for here, Daniel?
Birdie, but I don't know what got into me, and I just hit top.
Yeah, just hit the top band. And again, he's putting from the bush, straddling out, one of the things that you haven't worked on a whole lot, right? And it's one of the things we tried to work on this week at home and at the course.
I'm throwing my Nuke OS right here.
Yes, he is throwing his Nuke OS here. So on hole 9, 417-foot par 3. Why is that?
Because my Nuke has an orangey color, and that's way yellow and brighter.
Yeah, so he ended up going with that one because, again, this was a headwind off the tee and it was blowing a lot harder. So we're trying to play for more stability to go a little bit straighter and not have something flip to the left. So he had a really good throw. This round he landed in the opening, whereas in the first round he was behind some trees. What were you throwing for your approach right there, Daniel?
My Crystal Zone.
Yeah.
I just got too scared that I was going to clip that bush, so I got it too low.
Yep. Got it too low, a little soft, right?
Yeah, and I put it from here, and I went a couple of feet past the basket.
Yeah, a couple feet past the basket, but not bad. He's putting there for his bogey, so that's not too bad. Ideally, you'd want to have a par there on that hole, but not bad for a bogey. Moving on to hole 10, 137-foot par 3. What were you throwing off the tee?
Mako 3.
Mako 3. Yeah.
Clip that tree again.
Yeah, so you just came out early with some hyzer, right? So it hit the tree on the right, but fortunately, again, kicked him out to the fairway.
I'm jump putting from here.
Jump putting for your birdie, so that gave it a good bid. And at this point, you're finishing up to
par.
Par, yeah. So let's see if he's able to say par here.
I do, and I land behind who? Hudson again?
I can't remember. Yeah, you might have been. I think Hudson might have been around that same spot. So moving on to hole 11, 205-foot par 3. What were you going with off the tee, Daniel?
I think it was the Crave on this one.
Crave again? Crave, yeah, possibly. So again, just early with hyzer right, Daniel, and that's why I went to the right. And on that approach,
Did it again?
Yep. And this time you went to the left. What were you throwing on that one? Was that your soft omega?
Soft omega.
Yeah. So now he was asking me if he should go backhand. I told him I think it was better to flick it because you could see the gap and you aim for the gap, whereas the backhand, since he's not as consistent right now, he might have grip blocked it to the right where the trees are, that group of trees are at right on his right, or hyzer too far into the bushes on the left. Good throw again. Really straight. That disc must seem like it's a tree magnet because it keeps hitting all the trees.
Mm-hmm. And I got pretty mad. I got like concerned.
Yeah.
I kept hitting all those trees. I'm like, why?
So on that throw, Hudson was in front of Daniel to his left, and Hudson was kind of in trouble back there. He really was trying to pitch up to just save bogey, but he flicked it out of that little dry creek area and was able to save. He curved it around those trees and was able to save his par. That was a sweet throw, wasn't it, Daniel?
Yes,
he was
it
able
was.
to kind of throw a pretty sweet shot and save his par. So moving on to hole 12, 162-foot par 3. Again, this is a narrow tunnel. You have to hit the initial gap. Daniel, again, had a good throw. What did you throw? Do you remember?
I think it was the Mako.
Yeah, I think it was the Mako. I think he relied on that one a little bit more once we got here into these wooded holes, kind of trying to fix a few things from
And I
round
threw
one.
my zone right here. It was nice. But then I got a little trouble behind this tree.
Yeah, so he had his flick zone there, just a little to the left, but kicked him back into the fairway. So again, he's throwing some of his more backhands that he threw on round 2. Good throw, got him down in that dry creek area. So at this point, this is your putting to save bogey, right?
Yes.
So we'll see if he's able to save bogey from here.
Right there.
Yeah, that's a really good putt. I think he had a putt right between those two trees, huh?
Mhm.
Right where you're walking through. So moving on to hole 13, 169-foot par 3.
I think I'm throwing my Sagara.
Yes, I think he's throwing his cigar. He was hoping to get some flip from that, go to the left, kind of landing by that stump. Unfortunately, came out with some hyzer right and landed, fortunately for him, outside of these bushes in the fairway. So,
And I clipped the tree. At least I bounced out.
yeah, so at least he bounced out. So I think he's throwing his soft omega now.
And then I hit another bush.
Yep, right, going to the left bush. So we're going from right to left ping pong. So he's at this point, he's just trying to pitch up to get under the basket. He was trying to figure out how to throw it, if it was just to step out like a patent pending, or flick it. I eventually just told him, your best option is just to flick it because of where your disc is at.
And I'm like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah, so he kind of got stuck there a little bit. So at this point,
Don't dip.
throws it. Oh, and he throws it in. That was such a cool putt, wasn't it, Daniel?
Yeah.
We had everybody on the card was yelling. That was pretty sweet. It wasn't intentional. He was just trying to pitch up, but that was a sweet throw. He got the height right. He got it nose up, and it just hyzered right into the basket.
From the
dead center.
angle right there, it looked like I went through that little gap, but I just swinged it out.
Yeah, he kind of swinged it out. So it was a great putt to save par on that one. So moving on to hole 14, 246-foot par 3. I think you went with your T-Bird 3 again.
Yes, but it flipped over on me completely.
Yeah, I think that one just came out with hyzer, so it didn't want to fight. So he was pitching up with the zone. That was his par attempt. So at this point, he's trying to save a bogey from about 7 to 10 feet.
And I jump putted it from there, and I went a couple
From the throw before that one, right? From that putt, yeah,
Yeah.
you jump putted it up, yeah. So moving on to hole 15, 170-foot par 3. Throwing his Mako. Really good throw. If you remember from round 1, he threw his leopard, tried to throw an Annie to go around this curve. This time he threw a really good throw with his leopard. He actually went past where it gave him an opening to putt it, but because of those trees, he kind of just jump putted it to the left. Still, really good putt. You saved your par. Yeah, exactly, for par, so that was great.
throwing my Mako.
Mako, yes, you're right. Oh, no, but it looks like you switch it. You went back to your putter, I think. You ended up
My
switching it.
Omega.
Yeah, because you didn't want to go too far. Since if you can get a really good pull on your Mako, you're going to go pretty deep in there. So hole 16, 430-foot par 4. Again, he's going with his Omega, playing up to the opening.
And it flips over
Yep.
what I need. It's flipped over, hyzers out a little.
Yep.
And this is sort of a backhand hole.
Yeah, you would want to try to get it backhand, but if you can flick it straight right to where everybody's standing around that other tee box, that's where you want to go. So now he's just pitching out. Pitch out was pretty good. Got over by the bridge, So now I think he was asking me how should you throw it, and I think you were asking should I put Annie on it, right?
Yeah, and I think you said yes.
Yeah, I think that was the best idea because if you hyzer it out of here, you're going into the bushes on the right. So this is his fourth throw, and
To say bogey.
yeah, no, this is to say par because this was a par
Oh,
4.
yeah.
So what are you going with? Your Omega?
South Omega.
Omega. Really good little flick. Almost makes it. He cages the basket. If that goes in, he saves his par. So at this point, he just has a drop in bogey. So big improvement from round 1, you know, because he was kind of going back and forth. I think round 1 he took a 7, if I'm not mistaken.
And that would have been my second drop in.
Yep, would have been.
Par.
Or your second throw in for par because you
par.
had the lifted basket. So moving on to the last hole, hole 17, 330-foot par 3. We're getting Hudson some action here. I can't remember if this was his Draco, but if it was, a really good throw. Got it straight, got it to hyzer out.
Yeah,
Daniel
I think
and
he
Hudson.
threw his Draco on this hole.
Yeah, I think he threw his Draco in there. And then
And-
Hudson and Daniel give him some high fives there to finish out. What'd you throw here, sorry?
I switched my disc. I threw my Leopard 3
Yeah.
instead of my Gorgon.
Yeah, so he threw his Leopard 3. Really good throw. He got it flat, and because of the disc being a little bit understable, it did its thing. Kind of did a couple of air bounces, but eventually went to the left. So at this point, he was trying to figure out, do I jump put it up there? Do I flick it? I eventually told him to flick it because there were some branches there. Normally, your jump putts, you kind of get them high, right, with nose up. So he might have clipped one of those trees.
And I'm practicing jump putting it like low in the middle.
Low to the middle of the basket with some power, right, to get it right
Yes.
under. If you don't think you're gonna make it from that distance, yeah. So Hudson here, I think, is approaching for his
Birdie.
2. Yeah, I think he just laid up. He was just trying to get out of there with the par. It looks
And
like
and like every disc would slide on the
on the cement.
cement.
Yeah. So we'll see if Hudson can finish out with the par to finish out his tournament here. Going through his routine. And a good putt there. A little high, but it held, so good putt there to finish out the par.
Yeah, the baskets are at our Garden City course. If we put it that, it's gonna spit out.
Yeah, it's going to spit out. We have some older, mold Mach 2s, Mach 3s baskets from back in the early 2000s. So Daniel there putting. Good putt. Unfortunately for him, it was a little high, but it didn't want to stick. So he finishes out his tournament with a bogey, but big improvement from round 1. He got plus 17. So final results after the tournament. Kai Smith, first place, plus 8. Hudson, second, 25. Daniel, 38. With Ted, they both tied for third. So thanks, guys, for watching.
Yep, thank you.